Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot and very happy to be here today. I've got Cyrus Parsa with me. So, Cyrus, say hello to everyone.
Hi, everyone. How's it going? Hi, Carrie.
And I'm just going to read this brief statement about who you are, and then you can augment it. So, Cyrus Parsa is the founder and CEO of the AI organization, where he is also director of creative analysis and defensive innovations. He has researched and investigated more than 1,000 AI, robotics, 5G, cybernetic, and big tech companies. And he's done a lot more than that. He's also spent some time in China studying with monks there. And Cyrus, it's been a little while since you've been on my show. So, for the benefit of the people that may not know who you are, can you please talk a little bit about your background? And also, please do emphasize why it is you think that you know something about AI, because that's quite an unusual topic, and a lot of people don't even want to go near it. And I'm so glad that you do. But can you
Sure.
talk about why you consider yourself something of an expert on AI as well?
I consider myself the foremost expert, considering all the predictions we made and published ahead of all the world's governments, think tanks, even military generals, um, and even governments on point. Everything that happened the past year as it relates to China and artificial intelligence. You saw my background. I just study with fighting monks, but also involved meditation. I've done a certain discipline the past 20 years. And I don't want to talk about what it is or what I've done, but um, it's similar. You speak about the Kundalini and different things. So I've opened up almost all my energy channels before, well, actually a lot of times. And so that's one. One is 20 years of meditation. The other one is over 20 years of martial arts. And then I have a bachelor's and master's in homeland security. And I wrote Artificial Intelligence Danger to Humanity, which accurately predicted COVID-19, the outbreak, um, even the chaos, and the entire transhuman agenda in the exact time that was coming. Even President Trump and his family being poisoned, it's in my book. So, and gave this reports to the Secret Service, White House, and so many different things. They didn't believe me, but then when they saw the past 6 months, everything I said became true. Like I have a time machine, a quantum time machine. And as far as AI, yeah, I've researched over 1,000 companies, more over 1,100, and I've been right about all of them as well. And so it's empirical, then it's geopolitical, but then it's metaphysical and it's spiritual as well. And I've also involved the aliens, since all this technology comes from uh, aliens. It doesn't come from humans. Smartphones and all these different things. I made a documentary called AI: The Plan to Invade Humanity, which spawned the release of the UFO files from the Pentagon with my tweet to President Trump and so on. And then I had the other documentary come out with COVID AI Global Master Plan, which involved UFOs. And I put a theory, and I had another documentary come out yesterday, and that's called CCP Virus Gate, the plan to stop China CCP's global AI extinction agenda, meaning to extinct the human race. And so I don't mean to brag. It is what it is. I have a certain skill comes with this. Some other things that maybe talking to people or making friends, I'm not very good at. I'm autistic in a little bit. So yeah, that's my answer for you.
Okay, did you just say you're autistic?
No, I'm not autistic, but some people think I am because sometimes I'm too straightforward and too blunt, and I'm not really good at making friends too much because I have a certain way of being, I suppose. So I have a motto in my company called loyalty, but based on virtue. So which means I'm loyal to a person or to a family or to a cause if the entity or people are virtuous. Meaning, if they're going to take advantage of somebody else, I'm not going to be loyal to them and protect their bad deeds. So humans are loyal based on their emotions. and they put out, just like a mother would be if their kid committed, murder and rape, and then they would. So that's the problem with society right now. The conservatives are fighting the liberals, and it's going into chaos because they're not looking at the big picture, which is the world's going to end if you keep on fighting, and then China's going to take over. So both sides have some points to say, right? I'm more on the conservative side when it comes to security and ethics and different kind of things. But it can't be conservatives all angels, and the Christian right is all angels, and then the liberals are California is all just Satanists. It just can't be that way, because even my documentary I put out yesterday, the entire time people have been stealing, plagiarizing, and censoring us have been conservatives, and we've been helping conservatives the entire time, and they've been stealing. And Lord, pray, and they fool, and they use psychological warfare on their own followers on Twitter and YouTube with the use of pray and Lord. They are promoting that they're good Christians or even different faiths, right? But they sneakily, and they break people's hearts, and they fool people in the millions like that. So that's what I mean. Virtue based, loyalty based on virtue. So yeah, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I mean, it seems self-explanatory that anyone would deal with others depending on virtue. So that doesn't seem unusual to me. I guess in practice, you may question whether other people really do that. So I think that's important. Now, in terms of AI, why would you consider yourself an expert on AI? Can you explain a little bit more about what is your background there?
Well, I've been researching technology for over 20 years, and it was never called AI before because it was an artificial narrow intelligence, at least what we were shown in the public, right? So what DARPA had, the military industrial complex had, they have had advanced technologies for decades. They just never let it out. But so at the empirical level, I have people check things in China and other places, and they give confirmation. But we have certain technologies. I have a certain technology that's able to scan and sense things, even UFOs. So, and these things are not available for the Pentagon doesn't have. So that's why if you look at my book, Artificial Intelligence Stage to Humanity, the entire time I've coded aliens in that book. I just don't call them aliens. Even I have something called, because it's for someone with an empirical brain to take. People in Washington, they can't take these things. That's why when I put out AI, the plan to invade humanity, it was almost fictional. And then they start talking about UFOs all over the place. Then I put out the other one, the UV CV AI master plan. And then we're all in the lockdown. I was like, well, could Cyrus be right? Because machines come in and then aliens can take over later, because there is really a biological weapon. COVID-19, it is an invisible weapon that people can't see, and it has long-term effects. That's, people thought it was a hoax. Some people did. It was never a hoax. It's just, it has a long-term effect and affects other people in different ways. It's engineered. I mean, from what the reports I had and the reports I gave to the Secret Service and other agencies in different ways, it's all in writing, and it's in my books, other places, that they were engineering these things in China. And they got influenced by ETs, because if people's thoughts that come into the head, it can come from an ulterior dimension. It can come from a different dimension, or it can come when you're sleeping, or they can even implant things into your head in different ways that you wouldn't even know. So anyone can be, so we have technologies that can, little insect drones can hit you, right? But who says aliens don't have that? While you're just walking somewhere, a nanoparticle can hit you and then change your DNA, or even at a very micro level, start really programming your thoughts. So a lot of people don't understand where the thoughts come from. because there's a main consciousness, and then some people are like, oh, so my little helper telling me this, where that thought come from? So subconscious, unconscious, or entities, or it could be a good entity, it could be a ascended being, or it could be a UFO, and meaning a gray or a Drago, it could be a demon, it could be so many different things. That's why it's very difficult for a person to discern, is that thought that's coming in my head or the idea, even if it's a good idea, who gave it to me? What's the plan for it to lead my life in the way it is, and as it interconnects with other people? So in this movie, AI, The Plan to Invade Humanity, and the other documentary, Coronavirus, the AI Global Master Plan, I put that everybody has been in a hive mind. It's been an invasion from the UFOs for over 100 years. They introduced modern machinery by frequency first, and then their spaceships landed here, and that 300 fingers, 400 fingers. Our generals talked about it, the ET, the whole thing, right? So they made a deal with our military, but then DARPA comes out, the internet comes out, then IoT, smartphones, and everyone gets used to it. Then afterwards, a bioweapon hits. Everyone goes in their home. Then they become virtual, augmented reality, mixed reality. You don't procreate anymore. Then they introduce cloning. They download themselves to the clones and the aliens. And then the machines can take over anytime. They can just come here and take over. So it's like they've laid the groundwork by using our scientists. So Christians in the past, and other religions as well, if they would not allow scientists or people who wanted a path of enlightenment or meditation to think for themselves, because they had to go, okay, here's my book, which with the Vatican hid a lot of different things, right? There's other gospels, and Constantine hated the Christians. And even within the Bible, some people don't even see certain things. They don't even understand what certain things mean, even certain things that came from Jesus, right? Ye thy guys, you guys, are so many different things it means, that is alluding to that we are in the image of the creator, but something even greater. So if these ETs come here and they see our bodies are so powerful, so magnificent, if they want it, but they're extra dimensional beings, or a few spaceship come here and they're scouts. Well, how do we get them? If they go one day in a different solar system and they come back, for them it's 2 days, but for us it's 100 years. All they do is implant an idea, and it becomes in a chain of reaction. Civilization goes that way, and it comes to today. Everybody's addicted to smart technology, and their brain chemistry is addicted. They become on a hive mind. So it's like everybody's working for a queen. So when these conservatives treated these scientists badly, or even they broke their hearts, they lost faith in God. They lost faith in their faiths. And when the Catholics did all these bad things in terms of the raping of the kids, I mean the priests, right? So everyone lost faith in religion. And that happens. These scientists come out, and there is no God. Da, 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 da. So, and they get addicted to the smart technology, and they become a hive mind. They build all this machinery and all the technology, create the social media, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and then the groundwork of the robotics and micro drones and drones, and then connect the satellites with 5G systems, 6G systems, and Starlink, and it sets up everything for a soft power invasion without even you realizing it, which is in my book actually, or by takeover. It's really fast. So either way, it's been an invasion the entire time. So that's how I link AI with the artificial intelligence is a tool for these aliens to be able to basically parasite or control or take out another race of beings or human beings. So that's one, but there's a second level of artificial intelligence, and that AI is actually an entity. It's a being, meaning it's a digital life force. So in 2003, I was shown real documents of UFOs by people who made. They allowed they gave technology to our military that allowed our fighter jets or our spacecraft to break through, basically to break through a force field, and a force field will go behind it. It would just increase the speed almost like a spaceship would. So he showed me figures of gray ETs and what you call the Dragos. I never even knew what these were called. But one thing he showed me and he asked me, he said, Cyrus, why is it that it looks like a ghost? And I said, well, it's because either it doesn't have a skeleton structure and it's really a hologram, or that it does have a skeleton structure, but it's projecting to you a force field and a digital hologram, so you don't know what it looks like. Or the third is it's not even in its vehicle. It's projecting an avatar with a digital image of itself into a spacecraft for it to be able to fly and do scouting missions. That means like if you shoot it down or something happens at a spaceship, the ET doesn't get hurt. So there's multiple layers of this. I'm sorry, I talked a little bit too long.
No, that's okay. So yes, I mean, there's also aliens that don't have physical bodies necessarily anymore. So they are, yeah, you could call it projecting or you could call it teleporting, but they also move in what's called the light body. So they appear as light beings, and they're coming from different dimensions, etc. So that's fine. But in terms of the AI and the particular ETs, you can call them aliens, but they can be extraterrestrials, interterrestrials, interdimensionals. In other words, it's a whole gamut, as you're kind of saying, and I think our audience knows that. But there's an agenda here, and it does appear that the gray ETs, a certain group of grays, because there are lots of different kinds of grays, that are descended from the reptilians, and in some cases working for the reptilians, have an agenda, and it does involve getting humans into this AI sort of universe, if you want to call it that, and at the same time using nanotech to link up with AI, right? So what the question is which group are you seeing? Because you're really focused on China and the Communist Party, members of China. And so in theory, they are a certain ET group. They're linked up with an ET group. And that may well be a certain group of grays. It may be some other ETs as well. Are you aware of who they are?
So multiple different ones in China as well. So here's the issue with China. They're full on communists, as in they're full on atheists. It's much easier for an alien race to parasite and control the emotions and the history, and make them do whatever they want of a race of people like the Chinese, or culture of people. If their government is complete atheist, because then they can do all kind of experiments, mixing humans with animals, monkeys, chimerias, and once they do that, then they can do all kinds of things to humans, and they can make China create a war. So they can do the same thing with the U.S., but it takes longer. So this, what's in the Torah, the Bible, the Book of Avestan, the Falun Dafa practice, the Zhuan Falun, the Buddhist, even the Hopi Indian, stories that they tell. And so I just went from Persian to Middle East to Far East and so on, right? They all talk about we made in the image of the creator. So it's very, very advanced. When you guys speak about extra ETs, I don't consider everything to be ETs, because the gray and these little lower beings, as I put in that movie, Garbage in the Universe, we're made in the image of the creator. We're made in the image of ascended beings, like enlightened beings, awakened beings, or the Catholic saints, or we have such power in us, but we have to, you use the word kundalini, other things. We have to achieve enlightenment through free will alone. But when these ETs, aliens, come here, they see our bodies and our brain. It's like the most beautiful, most advanced computer in the entire universe. They want it, but they can't get into our bodies, because if they do, they have to kill the host in order to completely take over. And it's hard for them to do. So how do you do it? You parasite off them by creating a symbiotic relationship. And someone like Elon Musk puts a chip in your head, and then you merge with artificial intelligence. Then they can do that to a replicating process. Bioweapon comes in. They've got the whole thing planned out in so many different ways. it's a master plan, as I put in my article, my videos. I put so that's what I'm saying. We're very special, but other stuff that come in, they're not ETs. They're actually, like you would say, demons, because they have like a spirit, but they have no physical body. So it's a demon, because anything at the lower level that's a demon would try to connect with the body of a person that's here. If it's an ascended being, it would hardly ever connect with someone at a human level, because it's a hierarchy. It's like, why would you want to go talk to an ant if an ant is walking
Well,
by?
actually, I mean, well, we went.
No, I don't mean strict. Let me explain.
If we're such high beings as you do actually acknowledge, then there's no reason why they wouldn't talk to us. Actually, we're related to them. So
Yeah. I was going to say that.
There, and it's a very easy thing to talk to so-called ascended beings. That's kind of simply, there's no reason to differentiate really in the end. And I like talking to dogs and cats and every kind of being out there, and we talk to plants as well. So we're in constant communication with all levels and all beings. So there. Let me
rephrase.
All right.
So if a human being is not ascended, or they just have all kinds of emotions, and they angry or whatever it may be, and an ascended being wouldn't connect with it. Only a lower beings would connect, because there's a hierarchy. So it's like if you're at the level.
I actually think that's actually a programmed situation you're really talking about. I understand that you've been taught that. I don't agree with it. I appreciate.
I'm not saying they don't talk to you or your audience.
I'm not saying me. I'm just saying humans. I'm just saying it's this is just a line of reasoning that they're so high they don't talk to. That's not true. It's actually, they would be if they're so ascended, they would be the least prejudiced. They don't just talk to each other. All they'd be doing is boring each other to death. I mean, if you think about it. So it's much more of an open system than I think you're really.
Well,
let's don't dwell on that. I can appreciate where you're coming from, and
sure. I guess we're talking about two different things. Maybe that's why it took a long time to discuss this. You only communicate to things that your ascension process can reach. So if someone's
I understand what you said. Right. You don't have to say it again. I get that. I just don't agree with it. There's a difference there. So let's move on to the next topic. And what I want to do is, I'd like you to talk about how COVID is transmitted. I think we talked offline about this, and the idea that it can actually be transmitted because it was created with the help of AI, and it was also impacted by an alien that is maybe AI themselves. In other words, a lot of grays are run, and reptilians are run by an AI. This is not maybe commonly known, but they are. And in essence, they have influenced the human to make something in a petri dish and then to take it out and send it out among certain population groups. So can you talk about that process?
Well, so if it's nanoparticles, nanotechnology, or if it's something that's like that, that means it could be anything. It could be airborne, it could be by touch, it could travel, it can even choose how it affects other people, or your body can have it. You test positive one day, a week later you test negative, and then a week later test positive again, because it's
absurd.
No, it's not absurd. It affects each person differently, but it's also an intelligent entity. It's an intelligent entity, because everything at a microscopic level is a life force. Even germs is a life force. A flu or a bioweapon is still a life force. That's what people understand. Everything is a life force. If you can see at a micro level, it will be like an entity. So even a plague and a disease is a life force. It really is a life force.
Sure, no quarrel there. So in essence, I mean, there is reason to believe that it's actually sent out, though, through scalar waves and so on, and using 5G as a transport system, if you will.
When I came out in January, what I said was that the 5G, especially in China, reduces the immunity of a human being, or it could cause all kinds of cellular damage or malfunction or disharmony in the human body. Thus, when you have disharmony in your body, you can react differently to any kind of disease, or a bioweapon, or whatever it may be. Thus, yeah, I didn't say it helps to carry. What I said was that any kind of technology that you have, even your smartphone, if you put this in your head, it disrupts the energy channels in your body. It disrupts it through long-term use. It can give your head a tumor. It really can. That's why I recommend everybody to keep these away from you as far as you can. And I use this a lot during the day, all the time, pretty much. But it actually has a parasitical symbiotic nature to it through its electrical field that hits your body and vice versa. This is our biometric tools that we used. So, and I found patents for this, right? So that verify what we found. Thus, what we're good at is correlating technology and how it affects the human body. And all of this technology is actually harmful to the human body. And we can do all the third eye, the pineal gland, to open up all your energy channels. You call it the kundalini, all different kind of things. I study the Chinese way, which is similar. And when you do all these things, you can do what Elon wishes to do when he gets advanced technology with neural links and mixing humans with machines and artificial intelligence. So you can do all kinds of different things. I just don't mean remote viewing. I mean all kind of different things, very powerful things.
Okay, can you talk about the latest? They're saying there's some kind of, I don't know, big new outbreak in Europe right now. So you see where these things are actually manufactured to continue the trend so that they can come out with a vaccine that's supposedly going to cure people, which in essence is going to link them to the AI and so on. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I'm not saying don't take the vaccine, but I'm not saying take it. Personally, I will not take it, but I'm not saying don't take it. I'm neutral to it. You make the decision between you, your doctor, yourself, your family, and the government, however you wish. That being said, so this is a plague. It always has been. Even President Trump said it, but affected different countries different ways. So in China, it even affected the crops. Their fish died, people died, even dropped dead within 2 days, coughing blood. So, but it also allows for technocracy and tyranny, because once everyone gets scared and run their homes, then this AI system comes in, you become enslaved, and then aliens can take over as well. So it's like, you have to have something in the middle. In European times, when they had plagues and it killed a quarter of the population or even half the population, they didn't stop commerce. Here's the thing. Social distance has been around for a long time. This new, all those hugs and kisses and all kinds of stuff people do, it's only the past 100, 200 years. Before, when people had like strong religion or faith or culture, they all social distance. It was a part of their culture, but also they knew because of disease and plague, all kinds of different things. So social distancing is kind of a good thing in a sense, to a certain degree, right? Especially when you have this plague. But at the same time, I don't believe in any forced anything really. I personally don't wear a mask. Do I say you shouldn't wear a mask? No, I'm not saying that, because it can affect anybody a different way. You can affect.
Let's stop right there, because the bottom line with masks is they're not going to prevent anything. And we've got zillions of doctors that acknowledge that. So,
I don't wear it, but I'm not going to go against
it. Except when forced to buy groceries. But
yes.
But what I think it's important to say, not just that you don't wear a mask, but understanding, because we have you on the show, to say that AI is not prevented by a mask. Taking over your body and linking you up with through vaccines, et cetera, is not prevented by a mask.
I'll give you an answer. So if you're constantly wearing a mask, and I see people in California doing jogging and wearing a mask. So, well, if someone's not even close to you from 10, 20 feet away and you're jogging, they're constricting the lungs and they're teaching their lungs to operate a different way. They're actually hurting their body by doing that, right? So secondly, if you always wear a mask and people aren't close to you, you can get hurt. That being said, when people died in the past and they were like stingy for 4 or 5 days in a room, or someone came and saw them, they'd wear a mask, especially so they don't get some kind of airborne disease. So there is certain amount of, if someone's really high contagious or whatever, there is certain amount of positivity to it. But I don't believe in forcing anything. That's why I'm saying follow the middle way. If someone wants to wear a mask, you wear a mask to protect your family. If you don't want to wear a mask, then you don't wear a mask. That's kind of like.
But I'm interested in the science behind it, the real science.
So what I'm saying is the science of it is actually there is positives on both sides based on circumstantial situations.
Actually, only if you believe the virus model. Now, a virus has never been isolated. And so in reality, there is no virus. And in fact, even the
this is such microscopic. This is such microscopic, you can even get through your mask.
Of course.
So, but
if there was such a thing.
No, it is a virus. It really is.
No, you believe in the virus germ model of science, which has been, basically debunked. I mean, I appreciate that. Okay, so let's go to the areas where you have expertise, because they're first of all, your area of expertise is China and the tech companies, and you really looked into the tech companies, and you can see there's a huge trend. They're trying to keep Trump off Twitter, right? They're trying to keep any story that the Republicans have to say, anything against Biden and Biden's son, and so on, out of the press.
Right.
And right now we have like the worst, basically, are you there? Okay, hello? I think he's chasing a fly, I'm not sure.
Coming right back, hold on.
All right, so, okay, now let me say while he's back, okay. So what we're saying is that maybe you could talk a little bit about how the tech companies like Twitter, like YouTube, et cetera, are now trying to dominate and trying to steer the conversation in a certain direction through censorship.
Well, here's the thing. It's not them that's doing it. They've been programmed the past 20, 30 years by this AI technology to even if you look at their brain, if you open it up, their way their neural networks are programmed. They're programmed that way to actually proceed with this technology. And that's one. Secondly, the conservatives and the far right Christians, and not just Christians, any kind of religion, because even the people that I know, whoever it is in whatever religion it is, they don't meet the standard of the religion. It's always been that way since the beginning of time. They say, pray, Lord, they cheat, steal, plagiarize, slander, gossip. That means they don't meet the standard. So when these type of people represent their faith, then liberals see, well, there is no God. Why is there people like this? They go crazy. And they have hatred towards these conservatives. So when technology comes and almost possesses them, well, they're like, these conservatives are like this. And they use that to hit them. And it's true. It really is. Like, I've witnessed an entire year of it. And, so many people who are conservative follow me on Twitter, just steal stuff, plagiarize, never retweet, and they repackage it. So that's abusive capitalism.
All right. Well, you're talking a lot about stealing, but in reality, a lot of this information is out there, and whether or not they give you credit is another matter.
I'm trying to give to a principle.
Important to give credit, but I don't know that they are stealing per se, because it's simply knowledge, and knowledge is to be shared. Wouldn't you agree? No,
that's communist socialism for you. So when somebody
what we're doing right here is sharing knowledge. This is not communism.
This is different. There's something called citing somebody, right? So if I've gone, so
that's what I said.
I did a you cite me, right? I did a documentary I just released, right? I spent thousands of hours preparing for it, and for 7 days straight, I didn't sleep. For 30 days, I slept maybe 10 hours. and I release a documentary, right? I've done a lot of things that shake the world, and President Trump sees my stuff, and a lot of people around him follow suit, and they've done a lot of things with it. My sex tape tweet that shook the planet, and even Rudy Giuliani is talking about it at the moment. So that being said,
Can you elaborate on what sex tape?
Let me get to that in a minute. I just want to get to a point here. The conservatives are communists too. That's the thing. So
yes, you can be both.
No. They abuse capitalism. That's why the leftists go crazy, because the conservatives are sneaky evil as well. They're both sides in power. Whoever gets in power, they either get corrupted with power or they got there to seek away. I've watched most people who are conservative who are in power, and they're always preaching good things, but there's such devils behind the scenes, and they present themselves with suit and tie and such a cordial way, but behind the scenes is such devilish, and a lot of times they propose themselves to be a certain religion, whatever. That shows the corruption of humanity, the degeneration of the human race. It's so awful. So it just can't be all these liberals are crazy and the conservatives are angels. It ain't the way it is. It's a Game of Thrones. And yeah, I don't like this sexualization of children, the complicit in human and organ trafficking and all this technocracy, right? But the fault of it lies with the conservatives, because they wanted to force down the religion 6 years ago to these people, and they abused capitalism, Wall Street, the banking system, and took advantage of people. I'll marry you, right? Under God, and then they break the heart of their wife, right? And then
but this is humanity in general. This is not Democrat or Republican.
But here's the thing: conservatives, which I am a conservative, always propose that they're under God and they're good, and the liberals are Satanists. But they do the same stuff. So that's my point. So now getting to the sex tape tweet,
well, any religion, Muslims, Chinese, you name them, they say they're all under God. They're conservatives are not unique in this way. Right. And by the way, get out of my chat if you don't want to hear me talk, because this is a conversation as far as I'm concerned. So get the fuck out. I don't really, seriously. So what I'm saying here, and Cyrus, is that you can't just say, okay, it's all the fault of the conservatives. Democrats.
I've been saying it's the liberals, right? I'm the one who sued the liberals.
Okay, let's not do that. Let's not point fingers.
I'm the one. I've been pointing fingers at liberals the entire time. I wrote a book against the liberal elite. I sued the liberal elite. I've been tweeting against Biden and all these people the entire time. But let me
ask you something that's a little more political. Let's talk about something more political, okay? Let's not point fingers. Let's talk about Xi, the head of China. Now, supposedly he is a communist, and yet Trump is trying to work with him. Do you believe that it's possible to work with Xi?
Yes, there's some things that can be done, but he needs to dissolve the Chinese Communist Party, and that's not something that can't be done. But yes.
Say that again. You believe Xi can do?
Xi needs to dissolve the Communist Party, and there's ways to do that.
You think that he is able to do that?
Yes. With our help, he is in other ways. I just don't want to disclose what it is on your show, but I'll just tell you that he's not a fault for a lot of things. He's been duped by his own gangs of.
Fair enough.
China's ruled by a bunch of family of gangs. They're gangsters running the Communist Party.
Are you talking about the triad?
No. So not the triad, like that. So there's about 10 or 15 families that interconnect with the Communist Party, and they run China, and they interconnect with our big tech and also our corporations. So these guys, what they do is run the country as dictated to the military, everything else. So they're in there for themselves, and they're gangsters, meaning they actually commit organized.
And are you seriously saying that doesn't involve the triad? Are you just afraid to say that?
No, they also connect with real gangsters. But what I'm saying is the Chinese Communist Party, they're not normal. It's not a normal government. It's like a terrorist organization. They terrorize the Chinese people. So you remove the Communist Party, and those few families, it doesn't have to be she, then it could be a more civil place. That being said, the world is in danger today than ever it was. My sex tape tweet was, I don't know, in July 17th. It got international attention. Look at my documentary. You saw it, right? So I just put it out. Everyone should go watch this. It's called CCP Virus Gate. So it's called CCP Virus Gate. The plan to stop China's CCP's global AI extinction. I said at the beginning of our interview. Everyone, please go watch this.
Yes, they will. But for the purposes of this show, could you please explain to people what you're talking about when you say you're, because I don't know what you're referring to when you say your sex tweet or something like that.
I thought you maybe saw it. I got about 400,000.
What did you say? Because Twitter only allows like 30 characters. So what exactly?
No, it's a video. It's a video I put out. You can go watch it on my Twitter. But it's basically, it's in the video I put out yesterday too as well.
The video you uploaded to Twitter.
I've retweeted it multiple times. Even the president saw it. He was silent for 20 hours. And then they moved on the embassy. Pompeo moved on so many different things. And Trump banned TikTok. All related to this, and it related to Biden and the sex tape as well. All of that has to do with that tweet. And even what's his name was talking about since yesterday, Rudy Giuliani. That has to do with my sex tape tweet. Everything has to do with
I still don't know what you're talking about.
So in this tweet, I said like this. Here's how I'll give you exact words. President Trump and William Barr, please subpoena to China's sex tapes of our corrupt politicians and corporate leaders' visits the past 3 administrations to Hong Kong, Thailand, mainland China, Taiwan, and this island everyone is talking about. I wonder why everyone's so quiet on CCP's crimes against humanity. Does it have anything to do with these sex tapes, the $1.5 billion and the like? Let me know if you need my help to drop. Where was Dr. Fauci when they need him the most? When the bras came off and the underwears came off, so did their masks. Let me know if you need my help to drop the list. After all, we are the AI organization. Exact words.
Okay, what are you referring to when you say this? You're talking about, are you talking about pedophilia? Or are you talking about something else?
Multiple things. I was talking about Joe Biden's tape that they got from Ukraine and other places in China, and China has their sex tapes to them. China has sex tapes of our conservative politicians and liberal politicians and our corporate leaders of Disney and our big tech guys and many.
So you're saying they have control over, they have leverage over these individuals because they have damning evidence of them.
Also the Pope, not the Pope himself, but some of the Pope's close people to the Vatican, they have stuff as well. And then secondly, because they were filming stuff not only in China, but in Bulgaria and even in Romania, and also in Rome and other places around Italy.
Okay, and how did you come across this information? Was it sent to you?
As I said, I have a network of a lot of people I get intelligence from, right? So multiple different ways. And you see, everything I'm putting out is 100% right. I haven't been wrong about anything thus far. So, but here's the thing: the world's in danger. I came out with a lawsuit on December 6, 2019. The world is in danger. Big China, big tech, with a bioweapon as well. I said that in the lawsuit. And I did the same lawsuit in March. Nobody would help. Amended, dropping Obama in February, dropping Obama, Clinton, and Biden, right? So I've been against the liberal elite the entire time. But like I said, it's the conservatives that are just like, they're communists too. That's the thing. And one's in power. Then this all comes down from the grades. You watch my movie AI: The Plan to Invade Humanity. Socialism was introduced to this country in 1940s and 50s. Today's conservatives are yesterday's liberals. Yesterday's liberals are today's liberals, yesterday's communists. Really, conservatives don't exist anymore. They really don't. It's like if you watch the movie Cinderella. That's how people were back in the 40s and 50s. All this conditioning from Hollywood came from a select few that hated traditional culture, and they hated even Christians, other people. They hated conservatives, so they wanted to defile females. They wanted to defile the sanctity of just how people should be and ruin society. And they did. Look at society as everybody is hurt. A lot of people are hurt, and that comes from Hollywood, but also comes from the ETs, because they wanted to divide and conquer the human race within this 100 years. From their time space, it's only one day. But if it takes 100 years, once you do that, you break up the family system, they don't procreate, you can easily put them into a hive mind, a matrix, and then siphon off of them and replace them easily later on. Because if you're made in image of the creator and the son of beings look after you, but you have free will, and or God looks after you, when you have free will and you no longer meet the standard of a human being into their eyes, and then the plague comes in and takes out a lot of people. Just as it happened before the flood, this has happened on many planets. So this is repeating itself. So it's not just a plague. As I found extinction codes, plagues, merging humans with machines, famines, conflicts, civil wars, and even world wars. We're going to be here another 20 years. It's not going to end tomorrow. In the interim, a lot of lives are in danger. Hundreds of millions of lives are in danger. Hundreds of millions. Maybe.
All right. So can we go back again to basically nano and the AI, and talk about nano, because then when we're talking about nano, we're talking about little, in essence, little miniature robots, if you will, are we not? And how they can then get into your system and change it. And let's also talk about the vaccines from your perspective. How do you see that working?
So according to, I call it the macro level, not the micro level, okay? The scientists believe it was mixed with humans and animals, right? And that's what I put in my book, which is true. But at the more micro level, it's something more advanced. It's nothing a human can cure. So these vaccines that are coming, it will not be a cure. I'm sorry to say. It may be a therapeutic, but it will not cure it. And there's another way to cure it.
Okay, well, actually, I can tell you that some of these vaccines are going to contain chicken stuff, biologics from chickens. And this is absolutely detrimental to shoot this into a human being. So what do you have to say about the nano, also the nano in the hydrogel? Because in other words, this isn't therapeutics. This is actually doing something. It's also going to affect the RNA. And you must have heard about what they're calling gene 8. They call it the God gene, et cetera. So do you agree that there is going to be an effort to create sort of a transhuman out of using the vaccine?
That's exactly comes from my book and other places, right? So basically, you are made in the image of God. Your DNA is made in a son of beings. It's not just from the Bible and all. So that means you have supernatural abilities in your body. If it gets
absolutely,
but you can become like. But if you're mixed with certain cells that are no longer human, that come from animals, that will not your spirit, but your body itself. There's a way to clear it. If you get vaccinated, there's a way to clear it, but you'd have to get to the level of son of beings in order to do it. If you're at the level of humans and you have emotions, you won't be able to do that.
Okay, now, well, I'm not so sure about that. The emotional intelligence is, if anything, it's higher than the mental intelligence.
So let me explain.
Emotions, then you might actually be more like a gray ET.
No. You don't get what I'm saying. I'm sorry. Let me explain. So this is something I learned, by the way, okay, from practice and from study. So, but from experience as well.
What you're really talking about is mastering the emotions as opposed to getting rid of them.
Yes. Well, half and half. So at the level of humans, you have vulgarities, you have ego, pride, fighting, anger, jealousy, lust, and all these things that create conflicts and hurts people around the world, right? So animals have the same thing. So that's the level of humans and animals, right? Then the gray ETs, they're very vicious, but they don't have emotions. They just see us as like products or animals, right? Boom, 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 chop it up. They're very garbage. So, but at the higher level of ascended beings, enlightened beings, gods, or everything that belongs to gods, because even in the Bible, those Christians who don't read the Bible correctly, it says, even Jesus says, "Ye are gods." And even some pastors will say, well, it probably means we're just made in the image of gods. Well, in ancient thought, the word gods also means Buddhas, or it means Taoists, or it means a son of beings, son of masters. anything that's not mortal, it's immoral, it belongs to God, is God's. But there's trillions of universes and trillions of alternate universes and dimensions. So think about it. And there's so many of you. So getting back to this whole changing your DNA. If they're, I'm sorry, so let me finish this. So they don't have emotions at the level of ascended beings or gods or Buddhas or Tao's or angels. So gods are angels. It's another word to explain. So the Greeks called angels gods. It's the same perspective. They don't have human emotions, meaning they have benevolence, they have wisdom. So they have a warmth about them, but it's not something a human can understand because it's at their level. So it's like Jesus wouldn't have had emotions. He would have had what you call love, but it's not the human love that people have. The innate emotion that creates jealousy, pride, fighting, and distrust, or one day you love somebody, next day you don't. That's not love. So it's truly benevolence. That's what I mean. Someone without human emotion, I don't mean it great, but achieves enlightenment or awakening. So you can achieve enlightenment, but then you fall down the next day. So me, I've achieved so many levels, but if I have a bad thought or if I'm affected by something, right away, I'll drop and I'll feel my energy channels start closing. And when they close, then my power starts disappearing as well. And then my level of thought disappears. So it's all interconnected because that means our body is like a vessel that connects to 5G, 6G, 7G, 8G, 9G, and 10G, so on, right? So, and that's why, I can do a lot of things. Like somebody asked me on a certain show, do you have some certain abilities? How many do you have? And I said a lot. I don't say what they are, but I have a lot. Like not just martial arts, like I can sense a spider moving across the room. I can hear its legs. I can
So
feel
can
it.
I. Okay. So I don't think that's impressive, but
Well,
I
no,
appreciate
but that's
will.
just martial arts. But then if you go to a next
Yes.
level, then there's remote viewing. Then you go other levels. So like I flew out of my body, right? And just the first time was in 2002 when I was awake. But I've flown past our universe. So I flew past our clouds, and I flew past our galaxy. Then I went to a time. I was like this there was just nothing. It was all black. It was almost like a black hole. Then I was almost out of energy. I went, woof. I went so fast and I broke through that time space, and the energy inside me was flowing, woof, and it was another universe. And I was going, then I ran out of energy and I fell on top of a mountain. The mountain was so big, it made our universe look like a little dot. So I needed a certain energy and be sent to a certain level to be able to do that. So that's what people call the heavens or whatever. It's a certain tier of going. And I could teleport too. So if I teleport a certain place, I remember there was about to be a raid in the village. This is my spirit body I'm talking about, right? And I came there, and all I did was just raise my palm, and all the soldiers disappeared. They weren't able to massacre the village. So these are certain things you can do with your light body when you practice here at a certain level. In Catholicism, they believe you go to purgatory, then you get a light body, you get bumped up. So you get purified after you die. You can start ascending process there. But in other schools, you can ascend here while you're in the human realm as you work on yourself, and you can receive by God or higher power. So now getting back to this DNA.
Cyrus, I appreciate that. So what I want to ask you is if you're aware of AI that is also coming in from other planets. So in essence, some people might call it alien AI that's actually been embedded here. Some would say that, like the black goo, for example, if you're familiar with that, and also the Nazca aliens. They were embedded with plates that indicated they were, sort of AI beings run from elsewhere. So, are you aware of that?
They've been here from even before our planet was destroyed. So when civilization were here, that stuff is even here. Even force fields are still here. Like in San Francisco, there's the mystery tree or something like that. You go up and it's like this way. That forest, there's a lot of force fields of clusters of energy that have been there for before the flood, when the giants were here. So and the ascended beings or gods lived among the humans in different places. There's force fields that are still here. Humans can't see it or sense it, but if you're at a certain level, you can sense it. And if you go to different parts of this country, there's actually a lot of beings that live here. So like when when I did the lawsuit against Google, it's my first time I experienced an alien that was not physical. And as soon as I lost it, I was sitting at home and I felt something coming to my force field and it was trying to break through, and it broke through with a bunch of them. I looked, as soon as I looked, I saw basically it was the color of this paper white, and they were about this big and they looked like ETs, but a little more cuter, but they were pretty evil. Their eyes were black and they had white paper skin and no body hair. They hit me one after another, broke through my force field, and I started bleeding from my nose for almost a month. If you look at my first videos in January, I could hardly speak well, and I looked very weak. So they normally don't go after human beings, but I thought it was either from a spacecraft, they sent holograms, or they actually opened up a wormhole to hit me because they saw what I was trying to do with the lawsuit. I was trying to break free the hive mind of the liberals, conservatives fighting each other because it would go to their doom with a civil war, and the plague comes in and everyone gets taken out. So that's why I did all these things ahead of time. But they hit me hard. And then here's another thing I sense. I saw vampires coming after me and in a digital form, right? So I'm like, then they're talking about vampire bats. So they're like, it's a bat virus. So it's like, here's the thing. An average person listening to the conversation, their brain, they use about 4 or 5% of their brain power. They cannot comprehend or believe this stuff. They automatically reject it. But if Elon Musk believes that the human brain is very powerful and he wants to connect the little neural lace to it so you can connect and you can see the alternate reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual world, or the different dimensions. So that means humans don't believe until a smartphone or computer tells them it's true. But now, so I'm explaining things that Elon Musk is almost getting to, he's trying to get to, right? So you can see this pineal gland. My pineal gland has been open since a little kid. And by practice the past 20 years, it got more advanced. So this is what I saw. So it is an actual alien life form or a vampiric pneumatic life form. But here's what everyone doesn't understand. Not everyone, some people. And I think you don't agree with it, but you need to understand it. All this technology and demons and ETs, they're still controlled by higher realms of ascended beings. Ascended beings or God can step in any time to destroy all of this evil, negative, and make humanity good. But there's the concept of free will, enlightenment, and awakening. So this entire place throughout this play that comes in, it's allowed by the creator to come in. It's a process of, yes, it's a process of weeding out some people, or maybe a lot of people, but people have to awaken and light on themselves. I can tell, I'm giving away some secrets here, but here's the thing. When you walk out of your home and you see the sun hitting you in California, wherever you are, someone doesn't hit you, you only see and sense what you feel because you have this skeleton and you have this flesh body that's muscles, and your brain is only open maybe 3 or 4% of your brain power at a given time. So
speak for yourself on that.
Well, I don't mean you, I just mean in general. So the average person who doesn't believe can only sense those things, and they can
I appreciate that, but I think putting down other humans is not really
this is not putting down. This is putting down those who don't believe and reject these things because they're going to say, well,
I mean, it's true. They don't understand, and we get that. But I'm not sure that that's, I don't think that's really a profitable way to go. Again, hell and damnation and humans, all humans are sinners. This is not useful information, okay?
Well, no one's talking about hell here. You're talking about hell.
This is what humans have been told their whole lives, and it isn't getting them anywhere. It's nonsense. So let's move beyond that. Hell, right? Let's move beyond that and not.
Wait. No. Because no. This is a conversation. Who's talking about hell? I never brought up hell. Why are you bringing up hell?
Hell? I'm not talking. I'm just saying.
You brought up hell and damnation.
No, it's just an analogy, however you want to look at it.
No, you thought I'm talking about
no, I think that you're talking about putting down other humans, and
no,
I'm just saying,
not that.
Just like they have been told similar things, like they're going to go to hell, they're sinners,
No,
etc.
no.
It's an extrapolation.
No,
So,
it's a very different analogy. What I'm talking about is
really,
people
not
who
really.
reject. So there's a liberal elites or people in media. As soon as they hear metaphysical things, they laugh at it and they think you're
Yeah,
crazy,
I get
you're
that.
nuts. So my response to these people who say you're crazy, you're nuts. No, you only use 5% of your brain power and you're judging things. You're saying
Yes,
the
that's
universe is empty,
fair
there's no
enough.
aliens. The universe is empty, there's no God. The universe is empty, there's just life here on this planet. These people are judging based on their 5% using their brain power, and they can't even see past their block without using the smartphone. And they're commenting on different solar systems, different universes. That's what I'm talking about. So
people,
a lot of people on your live commenting.
Nice spitting back and forth. Again, go elsewhere. I don't give a shit what you like. So those people in the chat room that are having difficulty with us going back and forth, I am not going to sit here like those zombie interviewers that agree with everyone and think that's an interview. It's not an interview, but please go to those other channels. There's so many of those kind of interviews out there. Don't bother me and my audience by putting nonsense out there. Just go elsewhere. There's plenty of agreeable people that you can absolutely love because all they do is kiss your ass. Okay. I'm not one of them. And I don't kiss the ass of my guests either. I give them some respect, which means that I think they can handle the truth and they can handle me challenging them and not agreeing with everything they say. So that's my philosophy. If you don't like it, go elsewhere. Okay.
So we're not disagreeing with anything. It just may be the language that I use. So that's one. The hell and heaven thing, it has to do with your subconsciously or even consciously knowing what I'm trying to say about the plague. You're saying that I'm saying it's a judgment. And I didn't use this word, but yeah, it is a judgment.
Well, I know that that's how you look at it, but that's okay.
Well, it is because you're saying that
I want to emphasize what it is you know, not your.
It is what I know. It is what I know. Here's the thing.
Philosophy of life.
No, not philosophy. It is what I know because I can see these things. You cannot. Plain and simple.
Bullshit. I see tons of beings. Are you kidding me?
No, not beings.
What I see.
You cannot see the root of why this is happening. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen before it happened.
Stories. I'm writing articles before you ever came out with your book, or I knew anything.
No, Carrie, you didn't know this event was going to happen at the time it was going to happen. I did.
Yeah, it's been out there. Camelot was told this 15 years ago.
No. You didn't know when it was going to happen, right?
Yeah, because we have been told. You
didn't know the date. I filed a lawsuit in December.
Okay, so you picked out the date. Good.
Yeah, that means I knew.
I don't care about that kind of, that's.
It's like Alex Jones, who says, I've been talking about it 20 years, or David Icke, 20 years. David Icke, they didn't know when it was going to hit because they never had the abilities.
I know, but Cyrus, that's fine. It's great that you have that talent. But let's not get into ego, okay?
No, but here's the thing. You cannot see the ascended masters at the highest level to see what they plan for this universe.
I can see everything you can see, my friend.
Well, then you would know that.
And I would not pretend. I would not pretend to want to limit.
This will be
okay. So let's move along. Okay. So what I want to do here is, again, you've written books on the subject. You've analyzed the tech companies. You're looking at them as a whole. Have you looked at the power structure within England, within what the war that's basically breaking out in the United States? Is it you think you can see the future? Is Trump going to win the election? Let's go there.
Nothing's set. Three things can happen. You can win the election and then it get delayed and then there'll be a civil war. And
is this your philosophy? Is this what you believe?
Let me finish. That's one. Two, you can win the election and the military can come in and they can take out a lot of people who've been bad, which was all the Q people were talking about. Three, something worse could happen, which I'm seeing, and it's a lot worse. And that's what I'm saying. I found extinction kills, not just hundreds of millions, but billions of people. This fighting between the left and right is the cause of it, but they're being manipulated by higher beings. Here's the thing: the entire planet is every person's thoughts. Everyone's being watched. Everybody. You can't see it, but everybody is being watched and how they react to things. And yes, this event has been planned for millennia. And it's even everything we do, almost everything we do, from what I heard, what I see, is actually a program. So in order to come out of the program, everybody has to come out of the program, transition to the new earth, to the new future for humanity. So the more people that survive, the better. So we talked about technological level, geopolitical level, then ET level. Now we're talking about between spiritual, religious level, right? They all interconnect because there's so many levels of things. So yes, you don't like people don't like the whole repent or Christianity thing because they treated you guys, but I understand that. But there is something. There is a code in the universe of certain conduct for humanity. Once that code is broken, or a program, the design of it, it just gets deleted. That's what it is. And if human race, I came here in 1987 from Iran, right? And I saw how Americans were back then. Then I saw how they were in 1997, and I saw 2007. It's been degenerating left and right, and not just in character, but in other ways as well. They want to sexualize little boys and girls, teach them about sex, right? And then all this confusion about different things is happening. This actually comes from the alien agenda. They want humanity to be in a hive mind and not procreate anymore. And then at the higher levels will no longer accept human beings as humans when they don't only look like humans or act like humans. And okay, I'll let them, then they'll let this ET great.
Okay, now, let's talk about transhumanism. Okay, what is your understanding? Do you believe that, in other words, how much of the human, there's going to be a sort of breakoff point. Let's say you have a sort of a false limb that is, a biological sort of program, and it's also linked to your brain using some AI connectors and nano and so on. That the rest of the human being could have a physical body that's like real, like what would normal, right?
Right.
So their soul is still going to be attached to that body. Just because they have one leg doesn't mean the whole being. So there's a level at which the human translates and then has to back out of the container, which is in essence the physical body. And so I'm just curious, do you think about that? And do you think, because a lot of people are very afraid of the vaccines that will take them down the road of transhumanism and ultimately take over their body from them.
That's what it does. Okay. Yes.
So look at President Trump. Point do you think that happens?
As soon as you accept it. So here's the thing. In nanotechnology, if it gets injected into you, you're done. That's it. So here's the thing. President Trump, the president of the United States, don't think that was fake. People are saying, "Oh, it was a psyop." No, he really got COVID, and it was getting serious for him. He was losing. It could have gone a bad way. So they injected him with almost life-saving drugs, and that is not just therapeutic. It had mice cells, Regeneron, right? And this means the president of the United States would inject it with mouse, with DNA that doesn't belong to humans. So what does that mean? Think about that. So they already got him.
All right. Well, maybe not. Now,
no, in the process, the next stage for him, then it's a vaccine for his wife. The next stage is mixing him with humans.
Well, that depends whether or not he's actually Pleiadian and whether he's being helped by certain ETs and hidden beings that are actually able to turn this around.
Anything can be turned around because the human body, the reason why these ETs want the human body, because they know how to regenerate it and make it live for almost forever. Or they can build clones and download themselves to other clones one after another. But with the human body, you do have a spirit. The humans here, when they're trying to build a digital you and then have your memory go from one body to another body, it will not be you, it'll just be a copy of you. Your soul will leave your body. And an alien, ET or a demon or whatever will get into it. That's the thing. So when I was with masters in China and other places, and some of them weren't human so give you an example. My first martial art master was in China. You could do all kinds of things. You could run on water, you could levitate. He taught me the empty force, which I could send my palm. I could move people from 3 meters away. actually, I could, from a very far away, and someone will get moved very far away. I could do all kind of different things. Like if I'm on a 50-story building on Las Vegas, and there's two pane windows, you can't hear anything. If I look down, I'll see the person. I will hear them walking. I will feel their skeleton and their gaze and what kind of character are. It's kind of like a hawk, but it's better than a hawk, much better than a hawk, actually. And not just that, I can sense UFOs. I can sense aliens to a certain degree. So it's not just my martial, it's different things, right? So I'm sorry, what was I getting at with this? I went off track because
well, we're talking about transhumanism, and at what point you become, you lose connection.
Oh, yeah, the possession. Yeah. So when I went to China, and I didn't know about third eye. I just knew I could see the frequencies in a room, right? And he kept on looking at me, and I realized he can see inside my body, and then I realized he wanted the energy from my kidneys. And I realized, although his body was certain age, it was him inside. It's actually, so what he did was he accepted other entities to come inside his body through his meditations. And that happened, it possessed him. And at a certain degree, it took over his mainframe. So it was no longer him. It was like a dragon, and then some type of tiger martial art, but at the same time, some other things too. And it was very, for ordinary persons, very powerful. Then I met a Tibetan Lama here in California. He came up to me, and his apprentice was a female from UK, right? And they had telepathy, and we spoke telepathically back in 2002. And I could see neither one of them was them. It was their assistant spirits that had took over the mainframe through their meditations. But it was something else that was connected to them. So this lady wrote a book called The Snow Something, and she talked about how she actually could fly. When she was in the mountains of Tibet, she could physically fly. And it doesn't mean anything. You can fly, so what? But when I went home, and this is 2002, before I started my discipline, I got more advanced. I was sitting at home, and somebody took me out of my body while I was sleeping. And it was spinning me. I'm like, who the hell could do that? I looked down, and I saw it was like looked like a black, like not a squirrel, but some weasel. So that came from the Tibetan guy, because he spent 27 years in prison in China. And what he did was he was praying to spirit animals. When he prayed to spirit animals, they would strengthen him, but then they would come into his energy field. So I have a lot of experience with this. A lot of people who actually pray to stuff, and they have shrines at home, if they pray to animals, that animal actually is becoming they're already become transhumans with the animal at a digital level, a spiritual level. It controls their mind. It gives them the power they need. In India,
Carlos Castaneda talked about the exact same thing.
Well, this comes from my experience.
I understand that, but he's a human. He has those.
I don't know who he is, but what I'm trying to say is,
okay. Well,
so
a lot of us
with transhumanism.
The more adept come, yes.
If this can happen to humans,
and shamans do this kind of thing.
A lot of shamans they don't know it. They've actually been possessed. Their power comes possessed, but they don't realize. They just live their day lives, but there's an entity in their force field. So because they practice so many things at one time, and these things connect with them as they get downloads and they get information, but it's not them. So that's transhumanism at a spiritual level. But here, this is different. This not only incorporates your spiritual level with technology, it gets your physical body too. That's why they can yank you out and kill you, because it's hard. So this also comes from the Catholics too. Don't put it past the saints in ancient times. The Christians and Catholics 100 years ago that all have their heads chopped off by true Catholics of 1,000 years ago. Even the Christians, the most devout Christian of today, will be considered a communist, a demon by Christ's standards of 2,000 years ago. So at that time, the disciples of Christ and even the people in Vatican and so on, they practice hardcore things, and they try to ascend. So their whole concepts of you having an angel hearing a demon there and talks to you is because there's actually entities that people can't see. So if you align with a certain thought, you will be controlled by that entity. If you pray to a certain thing, or if you meditate towards a certain thing, you're controlled by that. That's why people in Christianity say, don't do these type of meditations. Don't do any kind of meditation, because you're invoking spirits. You just do dark arts. It's because they couldn't handle it. It's not that they're getting into dark arts. It's because there wasn't someone to be able to guide them. That's what they always said, have faith in the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit would be around them, protecting them. They would never have the knowledge or the skill, the experience to be able to do what needs to be done. They just followed their books and did a simple thing. It was primitive at that time. All they had to do is have faith in Christ. But what does it mean to have faith in Christ? You can't just I repent, next day be a bad person. I repent, the whole life you're just, one day you're doing good, one day you're doing bad. That's why they will never succeed. You have to achieve awakening and enlightenment, be received by Christ. Or by God. If not, you don't ascend. So that's the issue. People never understood the religion, especially the past couple hundred years, especially the past 60 years. So getting back to this transhumanism, when you put technology into a person, and I just don't mean someone's missing a limb is for a robotic leg. I don't mean that. I mean when you this is multiple things. You have a virtual augmented mixed reality world. Then you have injected nanotechnology. Then you have a machinery comes into you. Then your cells are affected. Then you have frequency. The entire thing is a combination of things that they're attacking you, is parasiting off of you. You have all that put together, and then you have the AI takeover. It's all combined to take you out. So artificial intelligence can be used as a tool, but it's not being used as a tool. People think it is because it's only artificial narrow, and they have towers put up, and their frequency, and they're just at the level of smartphones. All this stuff hasn't come in yet, but it's been influencing people. Once it comes in, it's too late, because people's minds are controlled and their spirits are dumbed down, and they become into a hive mind. They become like the Matrix, but even worse. So yes, this will lead down the transhuman path, but I'm not saying don't take it, because this COVID, if it mutates, it can kill a lot of people. It's very deadly in some regards. It didn't mutate here as much in the US and the West, but it did in China. No communist state who loves money is going to shut down the entire country for nothing and kill people.
Okay, well, okay, the information I have is that China it isn't shut down at all. They've actually started up again completely, and they're just ignoring them.
No, that at the beginning they shut out everything, right? They cremated a lot of
supposedly, but they never, they didn't. For example, they shut down Wuhan, but they didn't shut down Shanghai. They didn't shut down, the major cities.
No, they shut down Beijing too. They shut down almost.
No, only later, not initially.
In stages, because they didn't understand it. But here's the thing.
Actually, there's, you have to appreciate, I think you do, that there's more than one thing when they talk about, this so-called virus. Okay, so there is a level at which they're sending radiation, and they even said in an article today, the Japanese today are dumping a huge amount of radiation from Fukushima back into the ocean. Okay, they're doing that. That's millions of tons or whatever. This is just going to cause more COVID-like reactions, because reaction to radiation looks like the flu. Okay, as you know. So this is what's going on simultaneously with other kinds of things. Now, there's basically also, particle beam weapons, frequency weapons, that they can send thought, not just thought forms, but in essence, a virus is a thought form. Just the way we think of a computer virus that's actually the real virus. Okay. It's not this little bug thing. It's actually an artificial construction that is beamed out using scalar weapons.
But it can be transformed into a mutating physical virus at any time. That's what people don't get, and it happened in China. So it because it's at a micro level. So how does a disease show up? How do you one day you see an infection or something happens, you have a disease when it wasn't there before? Because it's the micro level, you don't see it. It activates when it wants to. That's what I'm saying. This is something
this
beyond the human
depends on, again, what model you believe in. But You know,
what I'm saying is it
let's
can become
are
any
you
model.
familiar with, you're familiar with, you wouldn't call it voodoo necessarily, but you know that there are, there's a whole religion or whatever you want to call it, a spiritual belief in what's called voodoo. And they can actually send energy in certain directions and harm people and cause various sicknesses, so-called
It's not just voodoo. It's in
it's a
every
thought form.
it's a human thought, but it's also in every religion had this. So you can always use it for good or bad or whatever.
Right.
So, but they don't have much power. Those voodoo people, they don't have the power they had before. But here's the thing. Here's where you don't agree with, but in the future,
This is where the press gets involved, because the press is basically is working hand in hand with this energy, sending it out, because they have to convince people that it exists for people to manifest it.
The press, they don't believe in this stuff. They only believe.
They completely believe in the so-called virus.
No, it is a real virus, but not in the way they think. Here's the thing. It is a real virus, but it's more advanced than they think. It can be a nanotechnology and it have no symptoms at all, and everyone gets scared. And then later on, they can mutate and become something. So you're right and they're right. But what I'm saying is it's more advanced than people can understand. But the press, they don't understand this stuff. They're actually mentally controlled. Like I said, the average person uses 3 to 5% of their brain power. Most of this press running around, they're actually programs. Most people they don't understand where the thoughts come from. They're actually, it's a chemical reaction, and it's interconnected with the nervous system, all kind of things. They're actually hardwired that way. So it's why it's very hard to change anybody. You know, that whole saying, you can't change people, you can lead a horse, It's because people are, it's like, if you want to completely alter someone's hardware and software, it's very, very difficult to do, even a real physical thing. So how do you change a human being? How many times do I got, so we're agreeable on most things, maybe over 99%. We're agreeable on only 80% most of the time, because the language barrier, maybe the way I say things is different. But once I clarify, you're like, oh yeah, okay, Cyrus saying the same thing I'm saying, but he just said a different way. Okay, yeah, we're at 99. But the other thing you don't agree with is that you don't believe in the whole judgment, because you have a different language, but it is a judgment, because everything is a judgment.
I know, and let's not go down that road. I appreciate that. Okay, now Cyrus,
I want to go down that road. That's why I bring it up, because you're refusing to talk about it. No, you're refusing to entertain it, and for me to explain, and you don't want it. But that's a fact. I don't have to force, because I don't want to change you.
Yeah, you believe there are higher beings, and they're putting a judgment on humans, and I get that.
Why would there be murder, death, and all these bad things? Why would the universe allow that if it didn't allow for judgment?
That's what we're talking about, a 3D physical experience.
Yeah, and why is there even justice? Why does someone get arrested?
Why do you think that that the Japanese like to kill people over and over in the worst ways in movies? Like they do that constantly, right?
They were nuts, but
no, because they actually want to convince people. They are convinced that actually they know that we are not physical beings. In reality, this is, you call it a hologram, call it a physical manifestation, call it 3D, call it what you want. It's an illusion. Okay.
No,
that in reality,
it's not an illusion. We have our spirits into these vessels. It's not an illusion. It is a simulation.
They believe in the spirit, in the life of the spirit and the soul. Okay?
Yes, of course.
That's why they don't mind in sort of a twisted way of
but they're messed up. But what I'm saying is that if there's a justice, there's a DOJ. If humans can have justice and judgment, why wouldn't you think in the higher realms that they have justice and judgment, and humans can be judged?
To a degree.
That's what I'm saying. So if humanity is no longer acting like humans, it's not just the liberal BLM that's doing all this stuff. Conservatives do bad stuff.
But you have a very dark view of
no, it's not dark. It's realistic. Why would the whole world get locked down the way it is? If people believe in divine God.
Okay, can I give you a reverse idea about it? Maybe they're locking people down because they are actually becoming too enlightened, because they are actually losing their power, and they realize they have to take extreme measures to try to get
there's a battle between good and evil, yes, but that's design. Why did the Persians were all blonde hair, blue eyes? They weren't the Persians you see in LA today, or me. Okay, every Persian had blonde hair, blue eyes, or curly hair like mine. Okay, they were invaded and raped by Greeks, then massacred, raped, tortured for 200 years by Arabs who had black hair and black eyes, white skin, and they had an African army. Then they were raped and massacred, over 90% of the Persian Roman plateau by the Mongolians for 500 years straight. Why would the universe and God allow for the Persians, who had so much civilization, to be gang raped by armies, beheaded in the millions? Why would they allow that?
Okay, well,
And why would they allow the Romans to happen?
Why do you think they would allow it?
Well, here's the thing. Why would it allow the Romans to happen? Why would it allow for the Greeks to happen? Why would every civilization decline? It's because it's very, very simple. And I know you don't like the stories of the Bible and the Torah, so let's put that aside. You go into every history from
it's not that I don't like the
no,
stories.
you go to the history of the Chinese,
great, you know.
Well, you go to the history of the Chinese and Japanese and the Persians and the Indians, Bhagavad Gita, all the ancient cultures talking about how civilization was destroyed, and there were Star Wars, and it interconnects with these ETs as well. So they all talk about there was an incline of society. They were virtuous and they were blessed with so many different things. Okay, great families and flowers and
I think you know what I'm not so sure that's true. I mean, I appreciate that you've read the history, but
let me explain.
Actually, this is history is written by the victors. History is also propaganda.
I'm giving you an analogy.
Humans are humans, okay, and they have been the same through the ages.
Yeah, but why is something rotten and decline away? It's because society declined. So if the Persians Persians freed the Jews from Babylon, right? Cyrus the Great. It says they were good. Let's say they were good. Let's say they weren't bad. Let's say they brought emancipation to women and gave the right to not work for 2 years and a pregnant lady. All these things that comes from the UN Human Rights Charter come from Cyrus the Great's Xenophon, which is all these human rights and the ruling kingdoms come from Cyrus the Great. This is at least this civilization. There's pre-Soviet civilization, but let's say they were good. Why would they decline after 200 years? Because maybe they developed all these vices. They were virtuous at the beginning, then they became slothful, lazy, fighting each other, hurting people's hearts, breaking people's hearts, and betraying other people. Then all kinds of conflicts. Then they become all drunkards and do all kinds of different things, raping. Well, then they're no longer protected. So, and then plagues came, or they got raped by the Arabs. It's like, so I look at when I was a kid, I'm like, why would God allow one ant kingdom to kill another ant kingdom and decapitate everybody? Well, because they're ants, not humans. We're humans. We're made in the image of God. Sure. But then, like, why would they allow for a human?
You're really, what you're at root, you're asking about the yin and the yang of this sector.
Oh, this is beyond yin and yang.
Interplay of yin and yang. Yes.
No. I'm not. Yin and yang is at a low level. I'm talking about above the yin and yang, which controls the yin and yang, which is actually beyond duality.
Okay, judgment, because you think it's coming from a higher set of
forget the word judgment.
Putting judgment on the humans.
It's a program designed.
I get this. I mean, you were brought up in Iran, and I
wasn't. My parents were atheists. My parents were atheists. That's what you should understand. You said I was Muslim. I'm never Muslim, and my parents were atheists. Okay, and they're still pretty much almost atheists. Okay. So this comes from my experience. So here's the thing: for the word judgment, it's a code in the universe. If you want to walk on your head instead of walking on your feet, then you're going against the universe. If you want to go rape somebody,
the laws of the universe. I appreciate
the universe has a law.
Eventually,
if humanity doesn't meet that law anymore, they get extincted. That's it.
Okay, so thank you for coming on the show, Cyrus. It's a lot of fun to go back and forth with you. I know some people can't handle it, but that's too bad. Is there anything else you want to say, or do you want to sort of talk a little bit about, before I let you go, your latest documentaries and why you think people should watch certain ones of them, because you've been making a few of them, right? So any particular insights that you think they can gain by watching some of, and in your recent video is very good. You're compiling a lot of information. Is this something you do, by the way, on your own, or do you have someone help you with the images?
We're with the AI organization. We have people working with us. So, but the creation of it comes from me. So this, if you want to watch AI, the Planet Invade Humanity, There's nothing judgmental about that. I argue with you a little bit on your show because maybe you like it, and you challenge me a little bit. So it's a nice conversation because instead of, yeah, I like that you're frank. So I'll be frank back to you, and that's that. Um, Secondly, you can watch that. You can read the book Artificial Intelligence. You can get it off Amazon. It's not judgmental there as well. I'm being open and frank. So if people want to comment like they did in the past, every time I become open and frank because we get an argument sometimes on your show, fine, you comment negatively. That's your emotions, because what I'm trying to do is give truth and help you out. You want to be negative and say these things on our show, go ahead. So, and go take a vaccine if you like. So that's two. That's two. Secondly, you want to help because I've worked sometimes 7 days straight with no sleep, and my team has. We've been trying to save lives, meaning we want to make sure during these conflicts and famines around the world and all these negative, dark things that are looking, because it could happen to a large degree. So what I need help is, please follow me on Twitter, put on notification, and do a freaking retweet. All you gotta do is hit a button. You helped a lot. Just literally, okay, Cyrus just did a tweet, retweet. It helps. And yeah, if you want to donate to me and her, because I have more people I hired from Vietnam and China. We're taking on the Chinese Communist Party, and we need donations. And everything I've done, Carrie, in your audience, I've worked 7 days a week for the past 2 years. At least 18 hours a day. And I put down everything. And because I realized the world's people are in danger, whether you're liberal or conservatives, that's what I did. I worked on people's behalf, altruistic. And I'm not judgmental at all. I'm just giving you the reality of it. I don't judge anybody, really. If you're left, right, meaning personally, I don't. However you are in your life, however you act, I don't treat you any differently. I'm not mean to you in any way, shape, or form. Whatever faith you have or you don't have faith, I treat you, in my heart, I don't see you any different. But what I did in this interview, I gave the perspective of multi-layers of multiple different beings and entities that think in different ways that affect the entire universe. Because it's not just gray, black, and white. It's multi-dimensional and multi-layered and multi-angled. So when I'm speaking with you and your audience, when we're chatting, I'm speaking in so many layers at one time. That's why people go a little nuts, because like, what are you talking about? Because I jump, because you want answers that are so grand, and I can't just give you a narrow answer. Because once I say this, it's concrete. If you want me to say the virus is not a virus, then it's not true. But if you want me to say it is a virus, then I have to explain what it is, because it manifests differently at each level, different person, different situations, and it could change for different people. It hit the people who are working with communist China the most, the United States and Iran. It hit these countries the most because they're complicit on the organ harvesting of these people in China, not just the people of faith like Falun Dafa, Christian, Tibetan, Uyghurs, but common citizens. And the tech one over there. That's called karma. You don't like the word sin or judgment, it's karma. You don't like the word karma, it's cause and effect. You don't like the word cause and effect, chain reaction. When you're complicit to people in camps, millions of people for 20 years, and you give technology, and then they get gang raped and butchered and raped for the organs, in the millions that happen. Well, you don't think it's going to come back and hit your nations in some way or another? That's the thing. Wall Street, our bankers, our Hollywood, they're all complicit, and they help, and our big tech companies. But who's at fault for this? We're all at fault because we were complicit and we allowed them to do it. And we watched their movies. We paid for the made in China stuff. So that means everyone's a part of it. Why is everybody wearing a mask? Because for 20 years, everyone wore a mask and were quiet on these concentration camps. When you do this, then the whole world gets a lesson. Tens of millions of people were cremated and killed in these concentration camps. And everybody had a hand in it for being complicit or buying made in China stuff or not speaking up. So if your neighbor's getting gang rape and you do business with it, what does that make you? Why does Elon Musk want to do business with China when he knows they're concentration camps? That means you're a sicko. So when he knows me and he teased me on Twitter, and he just saw my new video. So he wanted to sue President Trump and the Trump administration for not allowing access to China's Communist Party. And I put that tweet out. So I would like retweets. You want to help me do it? I was a little strong. I'm sorry. I appreciate you having me on your show. And I really enjoyed fighting with you a little bit this time. It was fun. so I don't think I want it. You want it. It's a matter of just, we speak a different language. That's what it is, Carrie. We
I know.
say the same things.
Yes, I do agree. I know you're a very good man in your heart, and you're also very, very gifted and very, very intelligent. I have no problem. This is why I invite you on my show, and I enjoy the give and take with you as well. So I just think that, you know, it's important to challenge some of the statements so that people understand there's more than one side to what you're saying.
I'm glad you did. I didn't judge you for it, but there's definitely going to be a judgment.
All right, fair enough. Maybe it'll be a good judgment. Maybe
a good judgment. We have a choice. Here's the thing. We have a choice to be good. We have a choice to say no to the Communist Party of China. We have a choice to say no to, we have a choice to be good to our neighbors. We have a choice to be good to everybody. We have a choice to keep our word. When you say you love somebody or when you say you will do this and this, you keep your word. You don't let your emotions, your feelings to affect your word. That separates humanity from lower realms. Ascended beings, when they say something, it's gold. They never change their word, okay? So that's what it is. And that's what I said. When I came in 1987, it's changed a lot. Even in Iran, I remember when I was a little kid, you know, I was 8 years old. I was watching these kids, and they'd grab pigeons, and they would hang the pigeons upside down, and they would beat it with sticks on a rope. And you know, I realized, and they were so violent, right? But why were they so violent? It's because the revolution happened, and then Iraq was bombing Iran, and the schools were getting bombed. Even little kids were dying. And who was providing the weapons and the know-how? The French government and the U.S. government. So I've been, you know, I was in Iran. They put us a line that says "Death to America, death to Israel." I would never say it. I never did. Even they smacked me. They cut my hair. Say as long as I have long hair. And I bled from my face. All kind of different stuff. Right. I even challenged them in a way you would never imagine. But I never did. And I come over here and I research. I'm like, yeah, you know, they wanted to curtail Islam, but the fault was they removed the Shah. It's because of damn bankers and the Wall Street people and the elite deep state with Jimmy Carter. They wanted to take out the Shah because he was getting too powerful for them, and he wouldn't do their bidding in England. So there was a deal between the bankers and from England to France to the U.S. to take out the Shah. They destabilized the entire Middle East. Even Ronald Reagan said it was a bad choice. So it was the deep state. All our presidents have been controlled by a deep state. Trump has been the only one who's been half controlled because he's been hostaged, right? So he's the best president for the job. My algorithms were, if President Trump gets into power, half the world survives. If he doesn't, almost everybody gets extincted. But there's a way to make almost everybody survive. But that has to do with everyone doing their part. Why have I worked for 20 hours a day? I found extinction codes for the majority of human race in stages, and I put out my information in a certain way. But here's the thing, and I did it at so many levels, and every time people just kept on silencing me, conservatives, and stealing, and liberals were like, what's he talking about? And then that'll be true. Later on, I would go next level, the geopolitical, technological level, then aliens. I did so many things, and don't think President Trump and other people don't watch me. They do. And our intel went straight up to President Trump. President Trump got my book, Artificial Intelligence and Humanity. It was given to him, and all the high-rise military generals that were close to him got my book. I wrote that in a narrow way that their brains could take it. But my point to you is what? Every one of us has a vow due to be good. You have me on your show. Maybe I ruffed a few feathers. Some people who are emotional and angry wrote bad comments that they normally do. It's the only show I get this, because I go to other places like X22, everyone loves me, but I stay at geopolitical, and I don't jump in many levels. Just one level, and they like that. But your show, it's wild, and I like that. But here's the thing. Every person needs to understand you have a role to play. I can't do jack without people retweeting me or sharing on social media or giving, yeah, Cyrus, thank you for working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week past a year, 2 years. Thank you, Karen, for having your show and doing the hard work you've done the past 15 years of providing all these guests, but also your own narrative and providing your show to make a better world. Thank you, Carrie. And then thank your guest. Thank you for subscribing to Carrie's channel. Thank you for donating to Carrie. Thanks for helping Cyrus and all other guests. Thank you for coming together, because everybody has their own part. Here's the thing. Everybody's so important. Even the little person is sitting at home right now. It could be an old lady or it could be some young person. They're important. They're not any less important than me or you. I may be able to do certain things that impact the entire world, but I wouldn't be able to do without their help. So that means they're just as important, and they're just as precious because you're made in the image of the creator. So I was really negative in some things because I'm really critical, but think about it. You guys are all made in the image of the creator. You know, you're very, very special. Every person is special. That's why I work so hard. So you have to understand, and then don't have fear. So everybody can raise their frequency, but we have to take out this deep state, but not the people. You hate the Bible, and I'm really not a Christian, actually, but I support them a lot, and they backstab me a lot.
Actually, I don't hate the Bible, so don't.
Well, no, but there's something in there that says, we are not against the flesh, right? So it's not just Christianity. It comes from many different faiths, and the same thing. Don't hate the flesh. Don't hate the people you disagree with. It's the entity behind them, but also it's also design. If they're a negative force or a playing negative force, that's also designed by the universe, because this entire thing is a test for everybody. Everyone's being watched. I'm saying a lot here because it's like the whole thing is a design, okay? But you have to come out of it. There's the concept of free will. It's a combination. So don't have fear. I want to end with this. Do not fear, okay? Have hope, but do, and be rational and calm. And support her, and it really helps. Just go on my Twitter and my Instagram and follow and hit the notification. Just, Cyrus did tweets, or just every day, just one retweet. Hit a freaking button. It helps, and share our media. And yeah, that's it. All right. I don't have to get millions of views. I have the ears of important people because they know I know certain things, and I'm trying to help them. But here's the thing, is fighting with the left and right, that's where it's wrong. If you fight too much, it destroys everybody, because the left is going to throw all these grenades. I'm not even against Google and YouTube people. I really aren't. I understand where they're coming from. I really do. So, but they have to also understand that there's a cause and effect to everything they do. And it has to be a harmony. The whole world isn't really in danger at the moment, in a really big way. So thank you for your audience. Sorry, I was, you want to use the word judgmental, but I was explaining the perspective of different realms, not me. I don't want to judge anybody.
Okay. Thank you, Cyrus Parsa, for being on my show. And we'll do it again sometime in the future. And please, everyone, do have a great weekend, and, stay safe and stay positive, and contribute in whatever way you can with your gifts. And thank you again. Take care, and good night. And goodbye. Okay. And people can hang around for me to put the credits up. Cyrus, you can go, and I'll let you go here, and that's it. Okay. Take care. Bye-bye. Sorry?
Are you offline now?
No, I'm not. I have to do the credits. So stand by. I have to let this end here a certain way, and I have to share my screen and do a credits. So stand by for this. Okay.